Thank you all so much for joining us today for our November advocacy meeting. I'm very excited about this personally because this topic today is not one that we always discuss, and it's still an area with our population that we're still trying to learn a lot more about, and we're trying to help others become more knowledgeable about when it comes to police interaction and things of that nature with our clients. So. I would like to just go over a few housekeeping items before we get started, and as people are still logging on this next few minutes, you will have the ability. Donna has asked that during the presentation, you will have the ability to unmute yourself and ask questions as we go along, as opposed to waiting until the end. So please be respectful of that as always. Let's not have more than one person trying to ask a question. We'll try to make sure that we spend time getting to each question. So you should have the ability to unmute yourself and ask a question of Donna as she is going through her presentation today. So I want to thank you all again for joining, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce Donna. First off, Donna, thank you so much for being with us today. Donna Lorman is the president of the Autism Society of Greater Orlando, and that is a nonprofit organization that has been serving the Central Florida Autism Community since 1996. Donna is a retired federal officer with the Department of Treasury with 34 years of service, as well as a certified instructor for the federal government. Donna has been instructing Autism Awareness Training for law enforcement officers and first responders for a decade, training over 42,000 law enforcement officers in the state of Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. Donna is a graduate of Partners in Policymaking in the state of Florida and has used her skills as an advocate here in Central Florida for the past 30 years. She currently coordinates an adult social skills group for adults on the autism spectrum and has been doing so for over a decade. And Donna, with that, I will go ahead and let you take over. You should be able to unmute yourself. So it just showed you unmuting, and now you're
Am I
unmuted.
there? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
yes.
I don't know if Hector Gonzalez is on yet or not. If he is, have we unmuted everybody at this point?
They have the ability to unmute. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. Hector, are you on? Sorry, I can't see yet. I know he was logging in, so
Well, my name is Hector Gonzalez. I'm a detective with the Bal Harbor Police Department in South Florida. I've been an officer for about 27 years, and I am a father of a 33-year-old young adult with autism.
and Hector and I have been partnering for almost a decade now to go around the state of Florida and train law enforcement officers and first responders on autism awareness, along with our two adult sons. This program today is based about or focused on parents, caregivers, anyone who has any kind of a relationship with individuals on the autism spectrum. Over both of our careers and as parents and as advocates, we have seen the increase in the amount of individuals on the autism spectrum coming into contact with law enforcement officers. And so we have geared this training specifically for families. This is our family. This is Hector and his son, Chris, and myself and my son, Drew. And we are the training team. Hector and I are the facilitators, and the gentlemen that you see here, Chris and Drew, are the true instructors of our training for law enforcement officers. So why did we create this particular program for parents and caregivers? Why are we here today? Because the number of individuals and family members that I come in contact with on a monthly basis touches about 10,000. And so often I hear when I'm talking to family members and caregivers, they make statements such as, "My loved ones will never come into police interaction." Oh, they're always with me. No, I don't really think that this is an issue for the autism community. And we are actually here to tell you differently. In fact, all the parents that are represented on the screen that you see here, they thought the same thing. The fact of the matter is, we cannot control the community. And so the community is going to call police and law enforcement officer for three basic reasons. One, they don't understand something. Two, they don't like the looks of something. Or three, they are inconvenienced. And this slide here is simply a snapshot of just some of the cases that we have been involved with here throughout the state of Florida. And we just kind of like to talk to you about some of these and give you a basic understanding. I'm going to show you, I'm going to start, and then Hector's going to come in and he's going to share as well. The picture that you see with the law enforcement officer and my son Drew in the middle on the swing, Drew goes to our community park every day, and he goes and he swings on this one big disc swing. He is gone for his whole life. We have lived here in the same house for almost 30 years. He goes to the park every day. On this particular day, Drew and his caregiver were in our community park, and there was not a soul in the park, meaning the two of them were the only ones in the park at that day. However, a driver that was driving by the park saw my son on a swing and picked up the phone and called 911 and called it in as a pedophile was in the park. 6 Orange County Sheriff's officers respond onto the scene, flashing lights, running up because they truly thought there was a pedophile there. As they approached, they saw it was Drew. They know Drew, and was able to de-escalate the situation very quickly. But just because this officer, or I'm sorry, this individual, this community person did not like the looks of an adult being on a swing, he called it in as a 911 pedophile in the park. That could have gone really bad. Drew could have walked away from the swing. He could have done it. Drew is 6'6", 320 pounds. The chances of an officer putting their hands on him because they thought he was fleeing the scene instead of just not realizing why they were there or the fact that they were there for him could have gone really bad. And that is one instance. Hector, go ahead and share a couple more.
All right. For example, you see the child crossing on the crosswalk. This is another true story that occurred in Orlando. This child with autism tells his mom that he wants to go see his friend, and his mom says, "Okay, are you going to go see your friend tomorrow?" So the child with autism wakes up around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's tomorrow, so he decides to get an early start to his friend's house, and he takes the bus on OBT, and he knows that he has to, by the way, OBT is Orange Blossom Trail in Orlando. And he knows that he has to get off on a Save-A-Lot. So he sees a Save-A-Lot, gets off the Save-A-Lot, and proceeds to go heading towards his friend. Unbeknownst to him, he got off on the wrong Save-A-Lot. So when he got to the spot where his friend's house should have been, now he's getting panicking because somebody stole his friend's house. So he is, walking up and down. A police officer sees him as he's walking diagonal, not on a sidewalk, on a crosswalk. The police officer pulls him over, and the officer asks him, "Hey, can I search you?" The kid says yes. As the officer is searching him, the kid is curious to know what's going on. The officer goes and arrests him for resisting arrest. So another one is, if you see my son holding a green and orange bowl, is because another time they were at the park feeding the ducks Cheerios, and as they're getting in the car to drive, an officer sees them holding that
body starts losing estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone.
I'm sorry. They see him holding that bowl. The officer thinks it's a child, follows them to the house, and as they get to the house, they get pulled over thinking that is a child. Another thing, the dating apps. Dating apps, there's a child right now that asked Donna that he wanted a girlfriend, and somehow he found a dating app, and in the dating apps, he found his true soulmate. Unbeknownst to him, he was speaking to an adult who asked the soulmate asked him to send them a picture of his groin area on exposed, and the child did. Later, that kid's father gets him and said, "You send an indecent photo to my daughter. I want $500." So the kid who gets money sends him $500 every month until his mom find out what's going on with the money, and then found out what happened. I mean, and there's so many more examples that we could give you, and it's just out there. And if people think that your child is not going to be in contact with police, understand that they're 7 times more likely to come in contact with police than anybody else.
And these are just some of the actual examples that we could give you. There are so many more. The child with the string was stopped in Colorado for twisting the string. He was taken down to the ground and held until a caregiver identified the individual as having autism. We have an online that our children online are very susceptible. One of our local kids was able to give a known pedophile all the contact information, including address, their passcode into their home, their Wi-Fi passcode. So these are just a brief look at the number of cases that we have locally and out throughout the state of Florida that makes our individuals on the autism spectrum so much more susceptible and leading to police interaction. So with that being said, if we have more time, we can certainly go into some more cases, but we really want to get you the meat of this particular presentation. I'm going to start off by talking about this big red phone. Early on, when we first started the law enforcement officer training, one of the officers had made a really impactful statement to me. And he said, "Donna, we see these parents calling and picking up the phone and calling the police, and we're getting there, but we're not trained. We don't know how to handle these individuals on the autism spectrum. We're really not sure what the parents want us to do." And he said, "I don't think the parents understand this." And he said, "I want you to think about every single home has something we're going to refer to as a big red phone. And they should only pick up that big red phone and dial 911 if they are in a situation where they are going to give up control. Because the minute that a parent picks up the phone or a caregiver picks up the phone and dials 911, they are releasing responsibility and what happens next to the police. And we don't know who that police officer is that is going to respond. And I think that was a really powerful statement, right? So sometimes, we get scared or something's going on in the house and we pick up the phone and we dial 911. But when we make that decision to do that, we are releasing the determination and the decision of what happens to our child next. So even though maybe we don't want them arrested or we don't want them sent to a Baker Act facility, we just need help de-escalating a situation, that decision and what our preference is no longer in there. We do not have the ability to make the decision of what happens next. We are granting the responding officer that decision. And I think for me as a parent and as an advocate, that really sat on my mind because no one had ever actually said that to me. And so I think that is a powerful thing that all parents and caregivers need to take with them.
Also, what you need to start figuring out is once you just piggyback from what Donna said, once you pick up that phone, you don't have any control of the outcome. The outcome is going to be what's going to be dictated by that officer. But you could help the officer make the right decision or make a better decision by just giving the information when dispatch is called. If you have to pick up that phone and call the dispatcher, you have to make sure that you emphasize the functioning age a lot more than the chronological age. The chronological age, it really means nothing when you are going to be interacting with somebody with autism. It has to be the functioning age and be honest about the functioning level on the individual. So the officer is already know what the expectation he's going to have, a lower expectation because of it. So make sure that you tell him, you know, obviously, how old is he? My son is 33, but Christopher is in a functioning level by between 5 or 7 years old. So I make sure that I emphasize that my son's functioning level is at 7 years old. Make sure that you tell him it's nonverbal, limited language. Tell the officers, give them that tools for them to be with the weapons for them to be able to do what they have to do. Make sure you tell them the dislikes, their fears, their trigger. Tell them their likes, the interests. Like you know, I know Drew's interest is Disney. I tell any officer to talk to him about Disney. It's automatically going to de-escalate Drew, and Christopher's transformer is going to de-escalate him. And most important, do path interactions. Why? Because the officer is going to learn whatever mistakes have been made or things that have been made in the correct way. Tell the officer that we could duplicate and continue to have sexual interaction with the individual with autism.
And please remember what Hector is telling you right now, as far as the emphasis on autism, that needs to start with dispatch. So when you're actually picking up the phone and you're calling in an emergency, or you're making the decision to call 911, that needs to be displayed and shared with the dispatcher as well as the responding officers. That is critical. You should be yelling. Go ahead, Hector.
No, I just want to add one thing that we've noticed since we started training cops. At the very beginning, Donna and I had literally almost in every class arguments against cops. But we're seeing the difference now. The cops want to learn more. The cops want to know, how can we help? So the things are changing because of what's going on. So by Donna saying autism, tell the officer and tell dispatch, if you have to repeat it 100 times, do it until it clicks.
Absolutely. So what else can parents do and caregivers do? Emphasizing the fact that we know that the number one characteristic of individuals with autism is routine, 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 routine. That applies to the rules. The community is going to put pressure on us as parents, as caregivers, to clear things, to make things go away. But the fact of the matter is, the rules are the rules 365 days a year. And those same rules must be consistent amongst all environments. So whether you're at home, whether you're at school, whether you're at the community, those rules must be consistent no matter where you go. One of the things that I always talk to parents about is we've got to be careful, because our kids are going to grow into adults. And so if we have a rule that we can hug, say family members maybe that we don't see except maybe once a year, they would be considered strangers, right? Or acquaintances. Our rule of thumb is, if you cannot do it to a stranger in Publix, do not do it at all. So maybe you only see aunt and uncle one time a year. Maybe it's better to implement some kind of a hand ritual, like a fist pump or a high five instead of a hug, because then we may be giving the impression that it's okay to hug strangers. And while it's cute at 5 years old, it's not going to be cute at 35 when he sees someone in Publix and they go and start hugging. And so we really, really, really want to ensure that consistency of rules are the rules 365 days a year, regardless of where we are, whatever the environment is. That means we need to be working with our teachers and our behavior analysts at schools. We need to be working with our community supports and at home. All the rules need to be consistent 365 days a year, no matter what. And that's only fair to our kids. When we talk about parent advocacy is huge. ASGO obviously is a parent advocacy group, and we go out there and we're constantly advocating. But our best advocate for our child is us, is as you, as the parent and the caregiver. And we need to be working with the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. We need to ensure that they are either on the med waiver or they're on the waiting list of the med waiver. I know this is controversial for some families, but it is truly important for us to remember that autism is the only invisible developmental disability. And I want to say that again. Autism is the only invisible developmental disability. Every other developmental disability has some kind of a physical identifier. So if autism doesn't have a physical identifier, we as parents and caregivers need to help identify them in the community. That means medical alert bracelets. That means registration with your local sheriff's office that maybe gives you an identifier. Having a wristband that says I have autism, having something put in your wallet, a autism identification card, or some decal on windows in the home on both the front door and the back door, magnets or stickers on cars, because if they are invisible, the majority of the officers that would be responding to a scene are not going to know what to look for characteristics of autism. And
Also, Donna,
so,
the
yeah, go ahead.
put it in the driver's license. The state of Florida allows for you to put a
Yeah,
detail
it's the next slide, Hector.
Okay, all right.
You're getting there. So we're looking for those identifiers. Community involvement to grow empathy and support through nonprofits. ASGO is a nonprofit organization that serves the entire state. And 95% of our activities are all inclusion and community based. So look for those nonprofits in your area that host events and activities out in the community, because the community is not going to change for our kids. Our kids are going to need to adapt to the community where we live. So that includes nonprofits, schools, parks, neighborhoods. Wherever you are, look for the police officers, look for those opportunities to introduce your child to the officer and have your officer interact with your child. So we are always looking for parent advocacy as well. Hector, you want to do this one or me?
I could do it.
ahead.
Self-awareness on autism. This is more for the higher functioning individuals. They could be their own advocate as well. Just make sure that they let the police officer know, because no matter how their functioning level, they're going to still have some limitations. So let them tell the police. Use words like, "Hey, I have autism. I'm hurt. I need help. I'm lost." Them to go to the police, because you see the news, you see social media, and they paint the police as the bad guys all the time. But at the time of need, they need to go to the police officer and let them know clearly, "Look, I have autism. I need help." Let the officer try to help them. Tell the officer that you want to present something. Just the officer. Tell the officer, "Hey, I have autism. Let me show you my ID. Let me show you something." Let them communicate with the police officer before they make any action. Also, ask for identification of the officer. Like, for example, right now, I do not have a uniform on. So how do they know I'm a police officer? Ask me for my ID, which I carry right here. And no police officer is going to be upset to be asked for ID, because the ID is what made us a police officer. They could ask ID at any given time. And if they're driving, this is something that Donna and I sort of created, the blue envelope. And the blue envelope consists on a blue envelope that in one side, the envelope has instructions for the police officer. In the other side has instruction for the individual with autism. All we ask is that they put 3 items inside of that envelope: a copy of the driver's license, a copy of the registration of the vehicle, a copy of the insurance. And before they turn that key, grab that blue envelope and put it on top of the visor. If he ever gets pulled over, all the person has to do, blue envelope, grab it, and hand it to the officer. That has already de-escalated so many things, that we heard it from officers, and we heard it from family members and individuals with autism, because it's so clear that the individual with autism, at the time of the traffic stop, the anxiety is going to be high. They may not be able to articulate anything. All they have to do is give the envelope to the officer, and it starts de-escalation from there.
Oops, sorry.
You want to do it?
Yeah, autism identification. If you are here in Orange County in the Central Florida area, Orange County has a program called the Special Needs Alert Program, or SNAP. They actually issue these bands that basically say Orange County Sheriff's Office, and it has a number. So anytime one of our individuals that are registered through the SNAP program is in another area, they're lost, the band would have the number. The responding agency could contact the sheriff's office, say, I have one of your individuals, number 0007, and all of the information for that individual would pull up. There are quite a few sheriff's office and police departments in the state of Florida that have similar programs. So we would encourage you to reach out to your local law enforcement officer agency, because they probably have some kind of either a decal program or an alert bracelet that would allow you to take a look at that. We also issue, there's a ton of autism cards. ASGO actually gives them out in our office and at our, when we're out in the community. We have these. These are what we consider wallet cards, that you put the information, I have autism, emergency contact information, and we teach them to carry it in their wallet so that it is always available if they are ever stopped by police and the individual with autism gives the wallet. That card would be in the wallet and would be an easy identification for the officers. We also talk about clings, decals, tags, anything on the vehicle and or the home is really important. Because we have had a situation here in the Central Florida area where we have had a mom or a dad, I can't remember if it was a mom or dad, that was driving the car with the individual with autism in the back. They were in a car accident. The parent was incapacitated at that time of the accident. The individual with autism thought they were there, so they simply got out of the car and walked away. The only reason that the police knew that they potentially had an individual with autism that was out there in the community was because there were autism decals and tags and magnets on the car. Mom was incapacitated or dad was incapacitated, and the back door was opened. So they actually did a search. They found the child about 2 miles away from the scene, walking down the road. So these are absolutely reasons why we would want to identify the vehicle. We would also encourage you to put that static cling on the front window and the back window of the home, not on the child's window, because we don't want to identify where the child sleeps, because that would make them an easy target for predators. But if there was a fire in the front of the house, the fire department may be coming through the back. So to have that a static cling or something on the front or back of the window would make the officer or the fireman want to search a little harder, maybe underneath things, because most of our children would probably still be in the house and would be maybe under in a closet, etc., hiding. So these again are just different kinds of identification. Hector, you want to talk about the Florida ID card?
Yes. All right. Florida started a law back in 2018 that allows individuals with developmental disability to put a D delta, a D on their driver's license, as you can see there. And this is basically a very visual thing for officers. Once they hand them the ID or driver's license, the D delta, that is also a trigger. And also on the back end, we have a computer that has we'll call David. So if I'm even trying to run somebody's name on the computer, that D delta is going to pop up. So it's going to give the officer an idea of the person that is in front of him has a developmental disability. So I think, and this is vetted through the HSMV. It's only one-page form that you download from their website, take it to your doctor, the doctor will sign, and then you take it to the license plate bureau, and they'll just place it there. So I think it's a very good visual and a very good thing that the state of Florida has done.
Absolutely. And I didn't hear you say this, so I apologize if it's a duplicate, but that's going to be on the driver's license and the identification card. So both. So whether they're driving or not, very important. Hector, go ahead and talk about the photograph.
And one thing that is very important is once you go to a large area, let's say you go to Disney or you go to a park or you go to a museum or you go somewhere that is, take a picture of your loved one just before you go out the door. Why is that important? Because a lot of the time, let's say if it's a child 5-year-old, and he gets kidnapped. What about maybe the shoes weren't even changed? They may have the clothes, but the shoes going to be different. And sometimes when you're hysterical because your loved one is missing, you may not even remember what your loved one is wearing. And once you take a picture, and that's so much easier, you could send the picture to the officer, that could be disseminated to all the officers that are searching for them, and you got a real-time photo of what your loved one looks like. And I think that is very important for us officers that never met your child, for us to really see what your child looks like.
Sorry, I'm trying. Okay. You want to talk?
Yes.
Wait, did I pass? Okay, go ahead.
All right. No, okay. Now, identification of uniforms. Police officers, we actually have a lot of different uniforms that we wear. Some wear green, some wear brown, some wear blue, some don't wear uniform at all. So it is important for you to start teaching your loved one how to identify a police officer because it's of a uniform. As you can see, I mean, some of them have a bulletproof carrier on the back. Some of them have complete tactical gear. And if you see the person in the middle lower with the full tactical gear, that's how the officer may respond to an active shooter. That's how an officer is going to have to a high threat level situation. So there's something that they need to identify the officer, however the officer is their uniform, whatever the officer is wearing. So it is important that every time you see an officer, go and introduce your son to the officer, or get them used to being the officer. Because let's say they're missing and they see an officer, I don't want my child to hide further because he's afraid of the police officer. I want to make sure they go to the police officer for help. So it's important that you show them also badges. Badges are completely different shapes. Some have stars, some have oval, some are round. There's different types of badges out there, and patches. Our patches are completely different from one another. That is the unique thing from every police department. Our child and a loved one needs to know that so that they could be able to identify what the word police or what the word sheriff means also. So it's something for us to start teaching them to be able to identify the people that are going to be there to help them. And ID card, okay. And the photo identification, like I said before, police officers, we always have our ID with us. Our ID is what gives us the authority, not the badge. The badge is just a representation, but the ID, it is the most important thing a police officer could have. So if you're not sure that he's a police officer, asking for identification, and the police officer must always have it. Every police department has a policy that we always have to have our ID with us. So it is something important for you guys to teach them as well.
When we do our trainings, we bring individuals with autism into the training, and they represent all the levels of autism, whether it's a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3. And every time we have them in, the police interview the individual on the spectrum. And these are some of the questions that are immediate and repetitive by officers. So these are some of the things that we need to start teaching our individuals on the spectrum as early as you possibly can. So whether it's verbal, whether it's written, whether it's through an ACC device, however it is, the officers are always going to ask about what their name is, what their address is, what is a phone number, whether it's the individual's phone number or a parent's phone number, their date of birth, and emergency contact information. So while if we're working with behavior analysts, or we're working at the school, we're working it as an IEP goal, these are the questions that our individuals need to be able to respond to one way or the other in case they're lost, in case there's police contact. These are the questions that we need to work on and have them be wrote or be able to, again, write it down or use them through an ACC device. We also encourage you to always meet and greet local law enforcement officers everywhere you go. Every time we're at the store, we're always looking if we're at a restaurant, we're always looking. I have Drew go up and say hi to the officers. That should just be something that is in our kids' routine. Through the neighborhood in your community. If you have a homeowners association, I would encourage you to contact your homeowners association and ask if they could host a meet and greet by the officers that are working in their community, in your community. That would also apply to roll calls. Roll calls are usually done by sectors by your local law enforcement officer agency. So I went up to we live in Sector 4 in Orange County. So I went to our captain of our Sector 4 And I said, okay, I have a son. He's an adult. He has autism. Can I come in during your roll call and can I present, a quick thing about autism? He's like, sure. And so he literally, I think it was 6 classes, 6 different days, because they had so many different A and B team and then, the different shifts. And I went in, I took Drew and I gave him about an hour or two, a quick autism awareness training for that. And then sector, I think 5 heard about it. And then all of a sudden I got invited to sector 5. And so we're really trying to break down those barriers, because you want the officers that would be responding to an emergency at your house, you want your kids to know the officers that would be responding. And so look for those opportunities to reach out to your local law enforcement officer agency, your homeowners, and absolutely, I want everyone to be contacting your school resource officer. If you have children in schools, I want your school resource officer to know your child. That is the first time that your child would probably come in contact with a law enforcement officer. And that is the perfect opportunity to make that a positive experience, because we want that school resource officer to be our kids' mentors. And so when my son was in school, I made the school resource officer part of his IEP team. I actually had goals with the school resource officer. I went so far as he was part of our IEP team. Second of all, I made a goal because I wanted Drew to be able to identify an officer in the community if he needed help. And we know that our children are not going to get this by osmosis. It's not going to come without us working on it. And so for the school resource officer, I literally did, Drew will identify the officer. And then I sent benchmarks. And so every day he had to identify the officer on campus. So he literally had to leave the class to find the officer. We're gearing him towards looking for that uniform, looking for that badge, looking for him. And then asking him for help was the next goal. And then communicating details for how he needed help. I mean, these are the things that we worked on, and then we would take them out. So on class field trips, he always had to be looking for the officer every time he was out in the community, and we built it there. And so I think a lot of us are not thinking about the school resource officer or using them to help our children practice needed skills or asking for help. And then, as we all know, we have a huge issue with active shooters, and our school systems are becoming targets and have been now for about 10 years. So in all honesty, the only time we're going to know about what the school's plan is for our disabled children is by asking about what your particular child's classroom response to active shooter. Hector and I talked to the police about this every single class. And we're like, okay, what are you doing with these individuals with disabilities? Are you practicing with them? Are you going in the full gear, your full tactical gear to every time you have a training at school? Are you going into those classrooms so that they can get desensitized to the officer looking very different than when he is on campus on a daily basis? And we talk about this. I can tell you right now, most of the schools will not take your children out of the class. They are going to hunker down in class. If that is the decision your school has made for your particular child's class, your next statement is, how are you fortifying that class? Are you putting a bulletproof windows? Are you putting a fortified door? Is there a safe space that would be, if there were shots fired, how are your children being protected in that classroom if you are not going to remove those children from the class in an emergency situation? That is something that parents are not talking about, but we must. As of today, we live in a society that is a part of the discussion that needs to be held at every IEP meeting. Hector, do you want to make any comment on that before I move?
Completely agree. And believe it or not, that's something that came up to us at the Margaret Stoneman Douglas that occurred. Dan and I were discussing it. And in reality, when we brought it up the first time to officer, it was like deer in the headlights. This is something that is not being thought about. So you guys need to be the biggest advocate for your child and make sure that you go to the IP meeting and you get your answers, because at the end of the day, I feel that our kids may be the sacrificial lamb that are going to be left in the back while they try to save the other children. So I'm just saying, you got to fight hard, but you got to get your answer, those questions answered.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the flagging the address. When we're talking about flagging the address, ASGO created something called an autism enrollment form. This is a handout that I did provide to Dina before this particular class. She said that she would forward all the handouts out to the participants after this particular class. But this autism enrollment form, it's 2 pages. It has information. It includes pictures of your children, likes, dislikes, triggers, interests. It talks about medication, emergency contact information. It's a very thorough form. This autism enrollment form can be completed by you, the parent or guardian, and can be taken to your local police department. And all of that information can be added to the CAD system and flagged at your address. So if your child were to go missing, all of that information would already be available for police, and they would be able to react accordingly. So again, this is really critical. Please consider taking that autism enrollment form and taking it to your, completing it, taking it to your local law enforcement officer and agency and getting that information added. It really will make a difference for a lost child. Knowing that where their interests are is very important to start a search. If they like Bob the Builder and there's a construction site a block away, that may be a really good place for them to start. So knowing that ahead of time and having that information in the police hands already, could be the difference between life and death. So again, we very much encourage you to take that form. It will be the handout, and complete it and turn it into your local law enforcement officer agency. Hector.
Okay. Again, let's say that you go at the scene. At the scene, you got to be like a little parrot. You have to basically announce on the scene that the individual has autism and whatever is nonverbal. His cognitive age is my son is 7, 5 sometimes. I'm the mother, I'm the caregiver. You have to make sure that you are the person that they're going to be listening to. If you guys could Google what happened in Portokello, Idaho, where a child with autism was shot 9 times, 9 seconds before the police got there. Again, could it happen differently if it would have been more screaming about autism? Perhaps. But again, you have to be the protection of your child. Just he has autism. He's nonverbal. His cognitive age is a 5-year-old, because we tell the officers, if you see someone with a Down syndrome, where's your expectation going to be? And every officer says, you're going to lower the expectation. Unfortunately, autism doesn't have that opportunity. So we have to make sure that the officers de-escalate or lower the expectation of their behavior.
Absolutely. You want to go ahead and do this one too?
I'll do the first 2, and then you do the other background.
You got it.
Again, the Florida law has the new law is the law is Florida State Statute 943.0439, which states that an officer shall give the parent, guardian, or the individual with autism an opportunity to bring an autism expert during the interview, whether the person is a witness, subject, or a victim. That expert is going to assist the officer and assist the individual with autism to be able to communicate. Because a lot of time, either the way we place a question may not be understanding. The individual may not understand it, so that person is going to be there to help basically translate the autism language to the regular language and back and forth. But you have to ask for it. The officer is not required to offer it to you. So the person has to ask, and the person shall give the opportunity. So we look at the statute, because the only thing different is that if you ask for it, you're going to have to be willing to pay for that expert. The agency or the officer is not required to pay. If you ask for it, you have to pay for it. Also, hopefully it doesn't get to the thing that you're gonna have to take them to jail. But if they don't take to jail, you request for them to put them in isolation. Because imagine our kids, we're going to take the lamb into the lion's den, they're going to be a victim inside. So you have to get the officer's name, the officer's badge number, and demand them to put them into a isolation unit. And also, you don't have to take them to jail. Take them to the hospital. Take them to the hospital. The doctors could take care of it, could calm them down, and you'll be able to be there with them instead of just taking them away from you. Go ahead, I'm with the Baker Act now.
Okay. The third bullet is regarding Baker Act. It actually, sorry, I keep hitting my computer because I'm trying to get it over and it keeps switching screens. For the Florida state statutes, it actually exempts Baker Act from being used against those with a developmental disability, including those on the autism spectrum. Just being a threat to themselves or others, if that action is based on a characteristic of autism, they are not, it is against the law to Baker Act to them. The only time they can Baker Act an individual on the autism spectrum is if they suspect a dual diagnosis between autism and mental illness. But if that does not exist, then Baker Act cannot be used for an individual on the autism spectrum. Instead, they should be transported to an emergency room and see if there's something physically going on with that individual. But Baker Act is not supposed to be used. What we're finding is that it is happening more and more frequently, especially for those with more needs. With that being said, and it's happening a lot at the schools. So what we have found is the website that is listed right here does have an affidavit that parents are completing, having it completed, having it notarized, and being taken to the school and presented either in an IEP meeting or to the principal of the school that makes your wishes known that your child should not be Baker acted in the state of Florida. And so we are having a little success with this. So I would encourage you, again, this will be another handout that we are giving you as part of this presentation. So you'll have this information along with the whole PowerPoint presentation itself. You will have this information so that you can go to this website, complete that form, and have it put into your son's CUME file. Again, just making your wishes known that Baker Act should not be used on individuals with the autism spectrum because it is a violation of state law. And hopefully we'll start seeing a decrease in Baker Act being used for those on the autism spectrum. As far as resources, obviously, because we're in Central Florida, our resources are going to be specific to this area as it relates to mobile crisis units. And so that's Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. These are the phone numbers you can call. In Volusia County, that is the phone number you can call. But these are mobile crisis units that come to wherever you are. So whether it's the community, whether it's the school, whether it's home, these are mobile crisis units that are staffed that can assist families or the police in handling a situation involving an individual with autism. The Autism Society of Greater Orlando really supports all families throughout the state of Florida. While we're housed here in Central Florida, that doesn't mean that only our families here in Central Florida receive the support. We host about 225 events, activities, and trainings a year. We do obviously the Autism Awareness Training for law enforcement throughout the state as well. So if you want to get more information or become a member or get involved with the Autism Society of Greater Orlando, please feel free to reach out to us. We have a tremendous social media site as well. Just Google Autism Society of Greater Orlando, ASGO, and you will find us. But we are a parent-run organization. We are run by parents for parents, and we do whatever we need to do. We create programs to help families because we want them to know that they're not alone. No one in this day and age who has a child with autism, whether it's a young child or an adult, should ever feel that they're alone. We are here to help and to support you. This again is more information on us, where we're located, phone number, website, etc. And then just showing again that we've trained over 42,000 law enforcement officers throughout the state of Florida. So we are here to help you, help your family, help your child, and make a difference in the community. With that being said, it is time for questions. I have absolutely no idea if we have questions in there or not, but I don't know if, can they come off mute? Can they not? Do we need to check the chat? Let's see. Is there someone here that,
All right,
So who had a question?
somebody asked about the form to get the police. I think Dina will be sending the form that Donna shared with her to everybody that participated.
We will send out all the information and resources that we were given for this presentation, along with the recording of the presentation. Yep.
And also, if anybody, for whatever jurisdiction they are, they feel that their police department is would receive our 8-hour presentation, by all means, have the police department reach out to Donna, and we'd be more than happy to present our hands-on training to the police officer anytime that they need it.
Thank you, Hector. So Paul and Wanda Moore said, my daughter has Coffin-Lowry syndrome with some aspects of autism. Does she have to have a specific diagnosis of autism?
for what? Like what are they trying to seek?
Right. Yeah. So Paul, what are you trying to seek? But thank you for the question. For any of these services, they said?
Well, I mean, the training, everything that we talked about today, you can implement for anyone with a developmental disability. That is never an issue. Take this, you're going to get the PowerPoint presentation. We have it in a printed PDF form. So you'll have access to the slides. You can get I see the question, where can we get stickers to identify autism? ASGO has them available in our office. You can Google decals, magnets, anything along those lines. You can get them pretty much anywhere at this point. Oh, great question, Brandon. How likely are we to see required statewide law enforcement
Go, Donna,
training through
go.
through the Florida legislature? This will be our third year going. We have both a House and a Senate bill that would make autism awareness training for law enforcement mandatory in the state of Florida for every single officer. It will be going up this year. We have 2 co-sponsors, one Democrat and Republican on both the House and the Senate side. It looks like a good year. We will definitely be contacting everybody, putting it out on social media, because we're going to need everybody's help to contact their legislators to make this happen.
Yeah,
with
Monica,
it now,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, as you're talking, Monica was asking, what can we do to help pass this legislation? And that's exactly what you should do. What Donna was just saying, the first step is contacting your local legislators.
100%. And we should have a bill. I think they're still waiting on the bill numbers right now. I don't think they've put any numbers on the bills for either the House or the Senate side. So we're literally just waiting for the bill numbers to come. As soon as we have those, we'll publicize that. And you should be, I mean, we're going to ask for everybody's support. Because in all honesty, it is a life or death situation. Again, just as kind of a parting statement, I want everybody on this call to remember that every interaction between a law enforcement officer and an individual on the autism spectrum will always have one gun in play. And I want you to think about what I just said. Every interaction between an individual with autism and an officer will always have one gun in play. How many people do you know are afraid of our kids, regardless if they're a police officer or not? So if an officer is afraid or intimidated by either their size or their behaviors or their aggressions or their characteristics, what are the chances of deadly force being used? It's great. So please understand, this is a life or death situation. We must train officers on autism, not only how to recognize it, but how to interact with it, how to de-escalate, etc. And I think we're going to need everybody's help to make that happen.
And again, just a friendly reminder that even though we did focus on autism, a lot of these can be applied to any of your loved ones that have an intellectual or developmental disability.
Absolutely.
There's a manual, sorry.
Absolutely.
And then Monica said, would they be able to find the information and updates at the ASGO Facebook page?
Yes, absolutely. If you follow along, go to Autism Society of Greater Orlando hyphen ASGO. You should be able to find us. We have like 28,000 followers. So, I mean, look for that page, and like it. And we will post all the time on how we're going to continue to fight and try to get that, that bill passed. It is a life or death. So.
It is. It is, and it's something that the Arc of Florida, we obviously when we're at the Capitol, it would be something that we would be in support of as well. Very strong support of.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much. Like I said, these are one of my. I think since I've been here at the Arc, we've had one or two meetings where we talk about police interaction with our clients, and so it's something that I get excited about because I know that our police officers as a whole throughout the state of Florida, it's something they need to be aware of. It's something they need to be informed on, and that's what you all in your trainings, that's amazing, and then getting it to the Capitol where we can pass a bill to make it required. That's our hope. That's the goal. And that's the dream. So we definitely appreciate you all very, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Of course. Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. Like I said, we'll get out Donna and Hector's contact info, the resources from this meeting, as well as a link to our YouTube page where you can find all of our recorded meetings. And I will also, we give out certificates of attendance. They are not CEUs, but they are certificates of attendance. So if you send an email requesting a certificate of attendance to my email, dustin@arcflorida.org, I will make sure that you get that certificate.
Appreciate work.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. I hope you, again, go grab some lunch if you haven't already. Thank you for taking your lunch hour to be with us, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dustin.